the path of least resistance. It's not the fastest way. It is a way. And I personally think this is the most safest way. That's why it's slow, because we're prioritizing safety. If you want to scale to the moon and you want to keep up with the Jonases of the coaching space and you want to just shoot for 6 figures so you can get the award, be very careful. I know a lot of coaches who just do it for validation to look good in coaching containers and they burn themselves out. Okay, so if that's a relief to hear, type relief for me, the coaching space can be a very unhealthy, toxic environment to be in when you're in the wrong containers. And God forbid, I hope that's never the case in my world. Take your time because you're working with human beings with a heartbeat, and we're trying to navigate your nervous system regulate your nervous system at the same time. Is that cool? I don't want you to be the nervous coach that's trying to hit sales every single month. I want you to be the safe coach that is secure within yourself and you're having so much fun regardless of the outcomes, which means you're going to, like, naturally you start to attract the outcome or hit the outcome as a result of that. So I'll share a little snippet. Carla, shout out to Carla. She hit a record month, probably about just over 6 weeks ago. She reached $15,000 in cash collected in the month. Former school principal, eventually left her teaching job. It was the most amount of money she's made with coaching. And it was off the back of her finally working through detachment. She went through about a 2 to 3 month period, maybe a little bit more, where she was stressed out heavily in her coaching business. And at some point she wanted to give up. She was tired. If you've ever felt that before, type in tired for me. So she had to go and work through some stuff. And she realized off the back of detaching, slowing down, being okay with the outcome, 15K followed. Now, I can't promise it's going to follow right away or you have the same timeline as Carla, but there's a common trend in a lot of us is when you learn to let go and have faith and trust yourself, it's just a matter of when these numbers will kick in. Awesome. Is it a consistent 15K month? Not just yet, but she was able to hit a record month. And if she can do it once, she can do it again. Amazing. So here's the process. Feel free to take a screenshot. I'm going to take you through the pro bono campaign cycle. Okay. It's going to look different at each phase, which you can see up on the screen. But this is going to require a lot of consistency, refinement, rinse and repeat. It's the same process for all of us. It just looks different at each phase. So phase 1, you're going to offer free coaching. Phase 2, when you're north of 5K a month in recurring revenue, you're going to start throwing in deposits. Some of you are doing that. It's not free coaching anymore. It's now a taster of your coaching. And then phase 3, as you're north of 10K a month, you're going to start evolving into events and no sales calls. Awesome. But it's all from one-to-one coaching. Is that cool? If you're tracking here, type tracking for me. The process doesn't change. It just gets refined. That's the difference, right? So it doesn't change. It just gets refined. We all do the same process. I even do the same process. Pro bono just looks different now. Awesome. I don't neglect pro bono. I've just refined it over the years. So here's some guidelines. Ready for this, team? Type in guidelines for me. Where do we start? Well, traditionally, we get great at CTAs. Goodness me, who loves a good CTA? Alrighty, so CTA, in other words, you make an offer. The worst offer you can make is no offer at all. So you're consistently making an offer. I make daily offers now. In the beginning, it was once a month. So some of you just need to make more offers and you need to ask more. You just don't ask enough. Is that cool? So if you need to ask more, type in ask more. I ask daily. I'm okay with unsubscribers. I'm glad they leave now. They were never going to buy from me in the first place. If someone gets upset of me making an offer, they're just not my buyer. I'm mindful of delivery and tone, of course, but if someone wants to stay in my world, I'm educating them on my offers until they're ready to financially buy in later. That's why most people stay. CTAs and offers. Now, in phase 1, traditionally, you book in a 15-minute consult. When you make an offer for free coaching, remember in the beginning, it's free coaching, one-to-one, you get them on a call. Let's have a chat about it. Let's see how I can help you. With a personal brand, this works. Very important, guys. If no one trusts you, you can't move them from DMs to a consult. So you need an audience and you need trust. Then from the 15-minute consult, you figure out if they're a good fit, right? You move them into pro bono one-to-one. If you do challenges and all that other good stuff, amazing. You work through how you want to work through it. I just teach it in these phases. But happy days, you like what you hear, you like them, and they're also leaning into you, which means not everyone has to become pro bono just because it's the sequence. You get to choose. So then from there, you do your thing. You coach for 5 days, 3 days. Heck, you can even coach for 10 days for free. I wouldn't do 30 days of free coaching, but I would at least 5 days, in my opinion. And you work through the schedule. Now, at the end of the session, you book in a bow tie call, which is part of pro bono anyway. This is nothing new. If you guys have access to my pro bono campaign, which is in the practitioner portal, some of you have that as a separate product. I know my consulting members have it too. You've heard this before. Awesome. Now, from the bow tie call, you then make the re-sign. Awesome. You collect reviews and you collect re-signs. Worst case scenario, you just walk away with a review. But the intent is to get a re-sign. You address the elephant in the room. And then, given you're happy, you've now re-signed them to paid one-to-one. Now, it's a never-ending cycle. And hello to Katrina that just popped into the room too. Perfect timing. It's just a never-ending cycle. You continuously work through it. If it worked once, you do it again. And every single month we repeat it. Consistency will compound. Some months will be high, other months will be low. So you gotta work through the levels. Do I turn up audience? Do I leave it? Do I squeeze the lemon? Last month I didn't really touch DMs, so maybe this month I do. Awesome, but it's the same process every month. Who needs to do this just more often every month? Type in more for me. Because maybe the last time you did this was 3 months ago and you just missed 2 cycles. And you're like, that's at least 10 pro bonos you could have gotten. And that's just great feedback. So phase 1, you go through this traditional sequence. Awesome. And let's say if we're just playing conservative, you get 10 pro bonos a month and you convert 5 each month for 12 months. That's your 60 client model. Is that cool? Assuming you're charging $500 a month. They stay with you because you're a good coach and you're re-signing them consistently for 12 months, which means we now have 12-month offers, not just 12 weeks. Awesome. It's very realistic to have 60 clients at the end of 12 months because you work through the one-to-one model. You just need to refine it. That's all. Now that's phase 1. Phase 2, you're like, cool, like things are working. I'm at capacity. Oh my gosh, how do I fit these people in? Or you just want to raise the bar. Well, what you can do now is you can just charge what you did for free for pro bono. You just collect a deposit now. So phase 2 is about, well, I'm going to give you a taste for 1 week, but it's a $50 deposit to secure your spot. You can get away with this when you have demand. Okay, so phase 2, you need portfolio, you need testimonials, which you've been collecting from phase 1. You've got 5K at least recurring in your bank, which means you won't freak out. You're okay with people saying no. You're like, I don't need them because recurring revenue is holding you. So you're kind of less needy now, which also helps your positioning in the market because you're not trying to force pro bonos onto you. Is that cool? So if you're excited for this phase as well, type excited. It's the same process. You're just charging now. So you don't call it pro bono or you don't call it free coaching. You call it like a taster or you just call it like a introductory round for your coaching, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. Family coaching, doesn't matter the title, but you're just honest about your intentions. Is that cool? And then you go through the same sequence, bow tie call, re-signs. Now you've now enhanced the quality. So the paid, remember a buyer is a buyer. If they paid $50, well, I know now that if they can pay 50, well, then they can at least put down like $100 deposit. Like if I charge $100 a week, it's okay, guys. You can charge $100 a week if you really wanted to. You don't have to charge per month. But if they can afford $50, well, why couldn't they afford that per week? Does that make sense? If that's a light bulb moment for you too. If you take $100 deposit, well, now you're conditioning them to get used to, well, it's $100 a week. If you can afford it once, all I'm asking is to just trust yourself per week to pay for $100. Does this make sense, guys? It's the path of least resistance we're trying to create here. That's all. Correct, Katrina. Paid deposit replaces the pro bono. Yep, 100%. But it's the same campaign. We still run it the same. The only difference is now there's a deposit. Only if you want to do that. Like I was sitting down with Carla and Tara, and they're feeling it, the capacity, which is a great problem to have. They're now starting to get capped. So to just enhance the standard, if someone really wants you, you start charging for it. Same thing with your consult. Refine. You still put a consult in, but you charge for the consult. What you need here is brand authority and demand. If you don't have the demand, don't charge for the consult. Okay, that's why your content's really important. You got to tell your audience that you're nearly at capacity. I've got wait lists to get on my calendar. So respectfully, I'm going to ask for a non-refundable deposit to get on my calendar. If you love that and you want to play at that level, type in play for me. But remember, this is important at phase 2. You don't start here. You go at phase 1 until you're north of 5K a month, in my opinion, because 5K will hold you. 5K will give you confidence. Starting each month on at least $5,000, you're like, cool, less pressure to need it. I don't need a new pro bono right now. You know, that detachment will really help you step up even more and be more polarizing and bold in your marketing and be okay with asking for deposits. So moving on, phase 3, alrighty. Assuming you've passed 5,000 a month, you're now heading towards 10K a month. What does this look like from a pro bono campaign? You now move into groups if you want. You don't have to. You can run masterclasses and workshops if you want. You can do both. You can still run one-to-one here. It doesn't have to be events. I'm just giving you options to play with. But you won't know until you're about, you're in the phase 2 element and you're getting a feel of what's showing up. You might not ever do events, which is okay. Remember, you don't need events, only if that's your groove. You're now starting to move into no sales calls because you've got the portfolio to get away with it. Does that make sense? That's why we collect reviews, because I'm preparing you for phase 3. That if someone wants to get on your calendar, especially if you want to move into a no-call model, you have a portfolio or you have a document that you're sending in the DMs with all of your social proof, and you've got clarity on your offer at that point as well, which means you can go straight into paid coaching. You won't even need to do the campaign anymore. It's just straight into, I'm opening up doors to my one-to-one. Amazing, because you've now got other offers in the mix, products, events, and so forth. Now, where do you start? Of course, phase 1. As we refine together, this is where you just go back and forth on what's working, what's not, what needs to be refined. That's why it's so good to work with me very closely one-to-one, because we just troubleshoot. It's literally, I'm just focusing on your next step with me. Yeah, sure, you've got everything and all access to TCA and all that good stuff, but what's just the next step? Tara and I are sitting down to literally just build out her email campaign for a new offer in the new year. That's just literally the next step, income generating task that her and I are building out together. And it's very laser focused for your model and the season you're in. So let me know what's standing out for you. Which phase are you in? And what's been an aha moment for you? Type some keywords for me in the chat, pretty please, while I get through some comments. Let's see here. Now, remember, team, if you don't know the pro bono campaign, you're going to look at this and be like, oh, I don't even know what she's talking about. So pro bono campaign, it's from the practitioner course. It's also in your portal for some of you that have access to that. And for those that jump on jam sessions with me every week, you have access to this. Okay, so I've taught it before. We're not going to go too much deep into how to do that. Let's see here. Yeah, Tara's on it as well. Tara's answered that question, which I love. Yep. Definitely phase 1 from Katrina. Love the idea of building up to phase 2. Need to continue to build my authority. 100%. Personal brand. So remember, with content, I teach my model to my clients, to my prospects. So my content is documentation. If you watch how Tara and Carla are doing this, They document the journey. I know, Katrina, you're starting to do this too, which is really exciting. You're literally like teasing and taking your audience on the ride with you. You're telling them, I'm going to make you an offer. You're telling them the next step is the 15-minute consult. Why? Right? I'm teaching them why that's important. I'm going to document how many teenagers I've worked with this week and what's my capacity with a genuine urgency to get on my calendar next week. Awesome. You're then marketing the reviews and you're going to tell them, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Of course, I'm going to make you an offer if it makes sense at the end of the 5-day campaign with me. Worst case scenario, you walk away with a review, type of review for me. Worst case scenario, you made $50 that week instead of $0. You've got so much to gain here as well because we're building your portfolio for phase 3. It's just a matter of when, not if. Now, remember, if you want to keep sales calls, you can, but people can pay for them. Awesome. Or you can just be a little bit more direct in your qualification process to get people on your calendar. For me, this is the step-by-step process. Now, everyone's going to be different here. Some of you are going to be in phase 3 for 12 months. That's okay. You're working full time. You're just trying to find yourself as a coach. Heck, it might even take you 24 months to get out of phase 1. That's okay. Judgment-free zone. Some of you, it might take less. It took you 12 months to get out of phase 1, but then it only took you 6 months to get out of phase 2 because you became better at what you did. Awesome. You became more confident. You started to be seen in your content, which means come like the 36-month timeline. Well, you let me know. Is that a good deal? Let's say hypothetically it took you 36 months to go through all 3 phases. Is that okay? Like, in my opinion, that's okay. Because if you think of a 36-month timeline, a lot of us went to university, studied for 3 or 4 years with no guaranteed job or income at the end of it. And we still studied for 3 or 4 years, knowing that there was no guaranteed income. Isn't that pretty crazy? Type in crazy for me. When in this way of doing things, there's guaranteed income at some point. You don't need to wait until you finish your degree. You don't need to wait for 36 months to be over in order for you to make money. So it's going to happen. It's the path of least resistance. And it's a better path, in my opinion, than what we're all used to, which is the university route. Right? Is that great perspective to have too, by the way? You don't need to wait until you finish TCA. You can start monetizing in the first week with me, which a lot of you have anyway, and you're getting pro bonos, depending on the level, of course, you want to play at. And you move faster, the more proximity you have to me. That's just how it is. That's why we sell proximity. But if you want to have your own self-paced option, then work at your own self-paced too. So why pro bono campaigns? Let's just kind of come back to why we do it this way. I'm all about less friction. If I can remove friction, I'd rather it take 5 days than me trying to get someone in the DM to paid client. Awesome. So most people are not going to buy from you right away. That's the game we're in because it's organic. You're adding random people on Facebook, so please manage your expectations. But it's less friction because we're offering something for free, especially in the beginning, or we're asking for a very low deposit, even less, right? I'm optimizing for less friction. So I don't mind if I charge almost nothing because I want less friction. Especially now as I'm optimizing for a no-call model and I'm playing with the numbers, I'm optimizing for no sales calls. So I'm okay with losing a bit of income in the beginning because I know what I'm optimizing for the next season. Is that cool? Ease of entry. It's free. If someone judges you for it, like, it's free. You can stop. Don't be so hard on yourself. Awesome. If they didn't like it, well, they didn't pay for it. You know, you gave more than you took. And that's what helps me sleep at night. I gave more than I took. Build social proof. Pro bono is even though it's a slow process to get paid clients, pro bono is the fastest way to build your coaching portfolio. So if you get at least 10 pro bonos a month over a 12-month period, you're looking at least 100 case studies. If that's crazy, type in crazy for me because you just stuck at it for 12 months minimum. I obviously want you to do it more than 12 months, but can you imagine 100 videos of parents or teenagers or teachers talking about how great you are as a coach, like no one will touch you in the market. You will stand out from a lot of coaches who just neglect pro bono and they neglect case studies. And those case studies will stay with you for life and you will remarket them over and over again, especially once you touch paid ads. Amazing. And if you never ask for a case study ever again, you can just recycle them. You build monthly recurring revenue because pro bonos are designed for re-signs. Awesome. Path of least resistance. And then especially for some of you that want to move to no calls, you have the social proof to demand that in the market. And you have the recurring revenue to be okay with losing some people. Like the other day in the DM, very tempting. But I've committed to the no call model. So I said to someone, look, I don't do sales calls. I'm happy to answer your questions in the DM. And like the recovering pleaser in me struggled a little bit. I was like, I was so tempted to get on the call. But when you commit to something, you gotta hold yourself. So of course, when you have recurring revenue coming in from these campaigns, you can afford to say no to people and lose sales because you know, once again, what you're optimizing for. So if you're loving the sound of this too, by the way, type in love because you prioritize the pro bono campaign. Awesome. One-to-one coaching. What gets in the way? Distraction. What gets in the way? Capacity. A lot of you are just busy and that's all right. Like that's okay, judgment free. You've got a lot of things on your plate. You're trying to put out so many offers in the market and maybe numbers aren't working, but like there's some stubbornness there. I'm like, don't do masterclasses if you don't have numbers for it. Don't do the classes if they're just not working. I know you want to get there, but you might just be doing the right thing in the wrong order. Awesome team. Sequence matters. You might not be doing the wrong thing. It's just in the wrong sequence. If that was a big moment for you too, type in moment for me. You just jumped phase. Come back to phase one. And that's where patience needs to kick in. Because some of us are like, but I've been doing this for years. And like I can facilitate groups and I can teach. And that's not what I'm saying. That's not the problem here. It's the sequence of your business model that we need to just slow down and come back to. Awesome. Path of least resistance. What's easy for you to get them across the line? If $25 deposits is easy, go for $25 deposit. Does that make sense? Because energy is important. Like I don't want to try to push someone over. So if it's easier to sell my first 12-week program at 1,000, I'm going to go for 1,000 because I'm optimizing for energy as well, not just cash flow. If there's friction at 5,000, well, then I'm just going to come back and dial back. Awesome. That's how I play anyway. Can you charge 5,000? Of course you can. But some of you energetically are just not there just yet because there's too much friction. So we need to remove friction both from our end and also your prospect's end. So if it's easier to go for 500, go for 500 and then build the blocks as you go. Is that cool? Let's see here. Shelley realized every single paid client was created from a pro bono. Big love to Shelley. Drop some love. I love hearing it. Music to my ears. Now, remember too, for the most part, that will happen. And then not every client or prospect is treated equally. So we're gonna diversify at some later point. Some will re-sign right away. Others could re-sign in the next 6 to 12 months. But remember the reviews, we're building for the future. Is that cool? Amazing, great feedback. But in this reflection, I want you to think about which phase are you in that we just spoke about. Are you just getting your first 5K? You're moving to your next 10K? And then what's your next immediate plan of action this week, okay, regarding pro bono campaigns? What needs refinement? For some of you, you just need to put out an offer or create a wait list for January. Okay, some of you are already doing that, which is great. Others, you need to document the hype. Okay, play the hype game to some extent, genuine hype, of course. Now, if there's any resistance here, please identify it and bring it to the room. Maybe some of you need a bit of coaching or direction, which is completely okay. Let me just remind you of the phases if you want to take a screenshot. I'll just clean this up for a moment. Okay, phase 1, free coaching. Phase 2, same thing, but deposits. And then phase 3, no calls, right? They go straight into coaching because you've got the portfolio to hold yourself.